So I don't do it enough. I don't do it. Next thing we're going to go over is grip. Grip is essential. Do you know if you're right-handed, which hand do you grip more with?
Your left, right?
Your left.
You hold.
You hold with your right. You're actually touching the firearm mostly with your right hand, but your grip is more relaxed than with your left hand. Okay. That's important. A lot of people don't know that, and they grip with the right hand. They can't control recoil at all. It's just they'll hit the ground every time. Or hit high.
Party support.
Yep. So can anybody tell me the fundamentals of pistol shooting? And you guys probably took this course. You have. I'll tell you the first one. Aiming. This is the first one.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have
Aiming, breathing. Hold control and follow through.
Yep. Very good. All right. So aiming. You have the sight alignment and the sight picture. Do you guys know the difference?
One is your sight with the gun, and one is with the target with your sights.
Right. You pick your target, and your aim is at the end of the barrel.
Yep. Okay. So what do you want in focus when you're firing? When you're using a standard iron sights?
Front sight.
Front sight post. You want in clear view. So that means that your rear post and your target are going to be out of focus. Which sometimes it's a problem for people because they want that target to be in focus. But you will not hold a group doing that.
Some people are nearsighted, so they can't see far away.
Yeah, exactly. My father can't see. Can't see him from here down to the wall. He couldn't see those pictures over there. So sight alignment refers to the proper relationship of the pistol's front and rear sights. So you can have. Do you know what's more important? Which one's more important? Do you think?
I think sight alignment.
Sight alignment, definitely.
But then again, you need to know what's behind your target.
That's true too. But sight alignment is definitely more important. That is probably the most important thing out of any of the fundamentals. Sight alignment is probably the most important. That's where you will have the biggest errors if your sight alignment is not correct. So sight alignment means basically you're looking. You have mine. I have what, white dots? Yep. So you have 2 white dots on the rear sight, and then a front sight 1 dot. So that front sight dot needs to be directly in the middle of the 2 white dots in the rear. All right, and that will get you. If you have it more to the left or to the right, you will be way far off. You won't. It's crazy what it does actually. This shows an illustration of that.
You're gonna have your groups to the right, groups to the left, groups high, group low.
Okay, so the one on the left, the one in the middle is obviously good sight alignment and good sight picture. All right. The one on the left, is it your guys' left? Yeah, my right, your guys' left, is improper sight picture.
Okay.
All right. You guys can still tell that the group is fairly good, and you are fairly close to being on target. The one all the way to the right is bad sight picture or sight alignment. All right. On that, you have a much bigger error. And the group is still good. The group is still there. But you have a much chance of missing your target, or not being in the zone that you need to be in to end the threat if that's what you're doing. All right. Thank you. We got to do that.
When you're looking at a red dot, everything's on a sight picture at that point, right?
Yes. There's no sight alignment. They put that dot on that picture. Even sometimes where they make red dots now that actually move with the way you hold your hand. So if you tilt the firearm this way, it actually moves the dot. So the dot is still, wherever that dot is where it's going to hit.
Okay.
All right? You guys will see that these are both, they may not be perfectly accurate for you, but you will be able to hold a group that is, you guys will be surprised at the groups that you guys hold it, I promise you.
Okay.
Everybody is, they're like, holy crap. They put, even if they don't hit the bullseye, because all it is just a black dot, just an aiming reference. I don't put scoring rings on there, nothing like that. It's just a black dot, a blank sheet of paper. You shoot that dot, you aim at that dot, and throughout it, you should aim at the same spot every single time. Don't change your aiming. Don't try to adjust to make it so you hit the bullseye. I don't care if you hit the bullseye. All I care is your group. You have to shoot, in order to pass the class, you have to shoot 20 rounds. 14 out of 20 of them have to be within a 6-inch group, which is, it's basically almost an entire sheet of paper. You guys, you're on paper, it's most likely you're going to have 14 shots in a 6-inch group. It's really easy. You guys want to have that. You guys will have a group that's like this. Okay, so we went over aiming. So we have aiming control. Breath control. This is where it becomes slightly different between using a rifle and using a pistol. At least using a rifle for long range. The big thing about breath control is that you're trying to minimize, using breath control and hold control, you're trying to minimize what's called the arc of movement, which is a figure 8 movement that you will always do no matter what. You cannot stop it. You can make it smaller and smaller and smaller, but you will never completely get rid of it. So body movement while breathing can produce gun movement, which impairs shooting. For maximum accuracy, the shooter uses breath control to minimize such movements. That's what I just said. Alright, to minimize body movement, the shooter should take a breath before each shot, let enough air out to be comfortable, and stop breathing while firing the shot. Alright, so all that is just... Okay, so usually they say about 50% volume is that hold spot, hold that, don't release any more air, and then shoot. I don't know. It's one of those things. It's just you got to do it without thinking about it, because you start thinking about it and you're gonna have other errors.
Yeah.
Do what's comfortable for you. This is what they've found to be the most efficient. If you can train yourself to do that, you will have the best outcome. Right? Holding the breath too long can result in muscle tremors. If this occurs, trigger finger should be removed from the trigger. The gun should be lowered while pointed in a safe direction. The shooter should relax, take a few breaths, and then begin their firing cycle again. So, breathe in, out, shoot. Breathe in, out, shoot. Don't hold your breath. Don't go, then try to shoot multiple rounds. You know, unless you're a fish, you're gonna have issues. Okay, now we're gonna do hold control, which is the other important thing that goes in with breathing, with breath control. This is where the grip comes in, where you want more grip on a non-dominant hand rather than the right hand. Exercising hold control allows the shooter to maintain the proper sight picture and sight alignment during the process of the shot. Okay, so hold control is the fundamentals for breath control and aim control, or aiming it's the backbone to aiming. It is impossible to hold the pistol in shooting position without some motion. This is called the arc of movement, which is that figure 8 I was telling you guys about. All right. The shooter should try to maintain proper sight alignment and sight picture while minimizing the arc of movement. With practice, the arc of movement will decrease. Okay, notice it says decrease. It does not get rid of, because you will never, ever get rid of it. Okay, and trigger control. All right, all of these are very important. I actually don't think you said trigger control, Dana.
That was waiting.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
If
No, I didn't say trigger. Yeah, it's part of it.
But anyways, trigger control refers to the proper method of activating a trigger to minimize movement that can misalign the sights. Okay, that's jerking the trigger, or
Flutter.
basically just jerking the trigger. You just squeeze too fast, and it's they have adjustments for triggers that can minimize that. You know, they have a lighter trigger. This has a lot lighter trigger than the rest of mine. This is a stage 2 trigger, which is fairly light. I have a rifle that is 1.5 pounds. That is it. You literally breathe on it and it goes off. It's crazy, scary, and stupid.
They actually
I
have
probably should increase it.
reverse. You pull it and then you slowly let out.
Yeah. So the good thing about this is it can actually be learned. You can learn where your break is, where that round is, where it's okay to squeeze, and then it's going to go off. They say that it should surprise you, and it should, until you get good at it. then it should not surprise you. You should know where it is. Because at that point, when you're trying to shoot rapidly, which it won't work on this because I have a semi-automatic, where you squeeze, and it goes off. Okay, so that's going to cause that to blow back and come back forward. And then you want to only go
Just where
to
it
that
looks.
point. Did you guys hear it click? There's an audible click, and that means it's reset. That means right there, you squeeze any more than that, it's going to go. Okay, so that's how you're going to get the rapid fire.
You're not releasing
Instead of
completely.
releasing all the way back out and then squeezing all the way back in. All right, so you will learn that. You learn that yourself just through practice. All right.
And then where you have your fingertips on the trigger itself, your
Yes, you're
tip
using
on
the,
auto and
using the pad on your finger.
the brake for double action.
Yep. So obviously on a double action revolver, you're going to have a much longer draw unless you put it into single action. And that is simply because it's doing other actions. Not only is it pulling the trigger back, but it's also rotating the cylinder. So you have a very long drawn out process. All right, where if you just go like that, see the trigger goes right back.
You're
And
done.
that goes to the breaking point. I mean, at that point, it's really quick and easy. So that's one thing to keep in mind.
No tension.
When you're shooting revolvers, it's a whole other game. Totally different than semi-automatic. So trigger control, the index finger is placed so that the trigger is halfway between the tip of the finger and the first joint. Okay, so that's the pad of the finger, your fingertip. All right. Trigger is squeezed straight into the rear, so you don't want to squeeze sideways. You want to just go straight back. In a smooth, continuous manner without disturbing the sight alignment. Pressure should be applied evenly, not in a start and stop manner. So that's jerk. That's all it is. The shooter should not be able to predict when the gun will fire. Each shot should come as a surprise. It's true up until the point of where you shot that firearm a million times. You know what you're doing. You know when it's going to break. Your mind's trained to it. You won't even realize you're doing it, but you're doing it. Trigger squeeze and sight alignment must be done simultaneously while maintaining a minimum arc of movement. Okay, so that goes back to using your hold control and your breath control to minimize that arc of movement, to also control trigger control and aiming. Okay, so all of that. Okay, last but not least is follow through, which is doing all of that after the shot's been fired. So you're not shooting and just dropping. You're not shooting and then peeking around. You're shooting and you're staying on target. You don't want to shoot and peek. You see that a lot of problem with archers mostly. They shoot and they peek. You don't want to do that.
Consistency.
Follow through is very fundamental. But yeah, consistency is the number one thing.
And your form.
Yep. Okay, so the follow through is very critical. Because even though you think it happens so instantaneous, that round going off, which it pretty much does, there is things that you can do, like you're on target, you're starting to squeeze the trigger, and you start peeking, and you move, and you're gonna most likely miss your target.
I think you lost your sight picture or your
Yep.
sight alignment.
Yep. All right. So now we can go over some of the range safety rules and shoot. Before we do that, we're going to actually go over the guns themselves. Okay. So this is the hands-on portion of the class. This is the fun part that I like.
Woohoo!